She wears the crown. She sits beside the king. She resides in the most historic, fortified palaces on earth. And yet, on a night meant to celebrate the absolute pinnacle of British royal majesty, Queen Camilla's own son was physically turned away at the gates of Windsor Castle. He didn't make it past security. He didn't get a seat at the banquet table. And the order to stop him wasn't given by palace guards acting on a minor administrative mix-up. It was personally issued by Prince William. This was not a scheduling conflict, nor was it a routine security oversight. This was a cold, calculated, and deliberate line drawn in the stone of Windsor Castle by the future King of England. It was an unmistakable message sent directly to his stepmother. Even if you manage to marry into this institution and wear its highest titles, your non-royal bloodline ends strictly at the palace doors. Behind the heavy velvet curtains of Buckingham Palace and Clarence House, a silent, systematic power struggle has reached its absolute breaking point between the Prince of Wales and Queen Camilla. To truly understand how deep this rift runs and why it exploded so publicly, we have to travel back to the night everything boiled over at the prestigious Windsor Charity Gala. The event was meticulously designed by palace aides to be a masterclass in grand royal optics. Foreign diplomats, global benefactors, high society aristocrats, and international press corps were all gathered beneath the sparkling chandeliers to showcase a unified, modern, and majestic monarchy under the newly established reign of King Charles III. Behind the scenes, however, Queen Camilla had been quietly working for months to execute a personal family agenda. She wanted her eldest son, Tom Parker Bowles, to be officially integrated into the formal royal fold. Tom Parker Bowles is certainly no stranger to the public eye. As a prominent food critic, author, and television personality, he has moved in aristocratic social circles and attended private family gatherings for decades. But Camilla wanted something far beyond informal invitations to private lunches. As queen consort, she firmly believed that her children had earned the right to formal royal recognition, starting with a permanent seat at the high table of official state functions. She began lobbying her husband, urging King Charles to use his authority as sovereign to ensure Tom was included among the honored guests at Windsor Castle. Charles, perpetually caught between his devotion to his wife and his duty to protocol, approached his eldest son. He asked William to accommodate Camilla's wish and extend an official invitation to her son. Prince William did not debate the matter. He did not raise his voice, nor did he offer a compromise. To William, this gala was not an informal Sunday dinner or a private family barbecue. It was a formal state-level occasion steeped in centuries of constitutional symbolism and royal precedent. William understands a fundamental reality of modern royalty that Camilla continually underestimates. Symbolism is the absolute lifeblood of the British monarchy. Every official photograph released to the global press, every seating arrangement carefully placed on a velvet table, and every single name printed on an official royal guest list sends an indelible message to the world about who holds power, who represents the crown, and who belongs to the legitimate lineage of the state. So when the final official guest list for the Windsor Gala was printed and sealed by the Prince of Wales's office, Tom Parker Bowles' name was nowhere to be found. Camilla was thoroughly stunned. She pleaded, argued, and utilized every diplomatic and administrative channel available to her within Clarence House. Yet William remained an immovable iron wall. Then came the night of the gala itself. Rain slicked the cobblestones as luxury limousines glided through the massive wrought iron gates of Windsor Castle, illuminated by blinding floodlights and flashing press cameras. Reports indicate that Tom Parker Bowles attempted to enter the castle grounds alongside his mother's official security detail, assuming that the presence of the Queen Consort would override any administrative refusal. What happened next is virtually unprecedented in modern royal history. Royal protection officers, operating under direct, explicit instructions from the Prince of Wales's administration, intercepted the vehicle at the main security checkpoint. Eyewitnesses stationed near the gates described a moment of excruciating silence, heavy tension. Tom Parker Bowles, visibly shocked and deeply embarrassed, was politely but firmly informed by armed security officers that his clearance had been denied and that he would not be permitted entry to the estate. He was turned away at the gates while international dignitaries and global elites swept past his vehicle and entered the grand castle reception. Inside the grand halls, Queen Camilla was forced to walk the red carpet alone alongside King Charles. She smiled dutifully for the flashing cameras, waved graciously to the gathered crowd, and performed her role as queen consort, all while absorbing what was arguably the most public, calculated, and devastating personal humiliation she had experienced since marrying into the royal family. Staff members stationed inside the reception noted that her jaw was tightly clenched and her hands were trembling visibly as she held her evening clutch. The royal press corps presented a picture of seamless glamour to the world, but behind Camilla's eyes was pure, unadulterated fury and heartbreak. When the final guest had departed, the cameras ceased flashing, and the heavy castle doors were locked for the night. Camilla reportedly collapsed into an armchair inside the palace corridors, completely overcome with tears, anger, and utter disbelief. She reportedly turned to a trusted senior aide and whispered through tears that she thought they were past this, that she genuinely believed they were family now. That single tearful sentence reveals the massive, unbridgeable gulf between Queen Camilla's comfortable illusions and Prince William's uncompromising reality. Camilla had foolishly assumed that attaining the historic title of Queen Consort would automatically erase decades of bitter hostility, palace intrigue, and personal trauma. She believed that time, crown jewels, official press releases, and prestigious titles had rewritten the narrative of the past. But Prince William lives by a completely different code. To comprehend why William took such a cold, ruthless stance on that fateful night at Windsor, one must look beyond routine palace politics and look directly into the emotional foundation of his entire identity, a foundation forged in childhood trauma, public grief, and the eternal unyielding memory of his mother, Princess Diana. Princess Diana may have tragically passed away in the dark underpass of Paris in August 1997. But within Prince William's heart and mind, she has never left the palace walls. William was not merely born as the heir to the British throne. He was the primary emotional confidant of a mother who was hunted by the media, cold-shouldered by the court, and emotionally shattered by the very institution he is destined to lead. As a young boy at Eton College, William listened to the painful confessions of his mother. He sat beside her as she wept, held her hand through locked bathroom doors, and heard the whispered names that haunted her life. He knew every detail of the secret phone calls, the emotional betrayals, the clandestine meetings, and the persistent shadow that Camilla Parker Bowles cast over his parents' marriage. When Diana died so suddenly and tragically, something permanent and unyielding was etched into William's soul. It was a solemn, quiet vow to never allow his mother's sacrifice to be diminished, her pain to be sanitized, or her legacy to be rewritten by palace PR machines. For over 2 decades, the global media consistently praised Prince William for his incredible maturity, diplomatic poise, and willingness to accept his father's second wife. The world watched as William shared polite smiles with Camilla at Royal Ascot, stood quietly beside his father at their civil wedding in Windsor in 2005, and offered measured, respectful nods during her elevation to Queen Consort following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022. The public assumed these public gestures represented genuine forgiveness. The royal press enthusiastically labeled it as family reconciliation. In truth, however, senior palace insiders revealed that those public smiles were nothing more than tactical armor. William played the long, patient game. He tolerated Camilla's presence strictly for the sake of his father's emotional stability and to maintain the public unity of the crown during the final fragile years of Queen Elizabeth II's historic reign. But tolerance is not acceptance. and diplomatic politeness is certainly not trust. William viewed Camilla's presence as an unfortunate, necessary compromise for his father's personal happiness, but he drew a sharp, immovable line in the sand the moment it came to the future management of the monarchy. When Camilla began quietly positioning her adult children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, to occupy prominent, semi-official roles in public royal life, William recognized the strategy instantly. He saw it for what it truly was, a calculated effort to legitimize her personal family lineage alongside the direct bloodline of the House of Windsor. To William, allowing Camilla's children to share the spotlight, appear in official portraits, or attend state galas alongside blood royals was a direct insult to Princess Diana's memory. It was an attempt to soften history, to pretend that the devastating pain inflicted upon his mother had no lasting structural consequences for the royal family. Palace sources report that when King Charles later confronted William in private regarding the incident at the Windsor gates, demanding an explanation for why Camilla's son was so publicly humiliated, William's composure did not break. He did not raise his voice, nor did he engage in an emotional argument with his father. He simply looked King Charles directly in the eye and uttered a single devastating sentence that reportedly brought the conversation to an abrupt and complete end. "This is not about a guest list. It is about what we stand for." That powerful statement defines Prince William's entire operational philosophy as Prince of Wales. He does not view himself merely as a passive heir waiting patiently to inherit a crown. He sees himself as the ultimate guardian of the monarchy's moral legitimacy and the uncompromising steward of his mother's dignity. Turning Tom Parker Bowles away from Windsor Castle was not an impulsive act of spite. It was the opening salvo in a master strategy to dismantle Camilla's family influence before she could permanently embed her non-royal relatives into the official structure of the kingdom. If denying Tom Parker Bowles' entry to Windsor Castle was a loud public slap, what William executed just a few weeks later was a quiet, financially devastating strike aimed directly at the heart of Queen Camilla's personal inner circle. For nearly 2 decades, Camilla had a powerful, highly lucrative ally operating silently within the highest financial machinery of the royal estate: her own sister, Annabel Elliot. Annabel Elliot is an accomplished, highly respected interior designer. During King Charles's long tenure as the Duke of Cornwall, she was appointed as the chief design consultant for the Duchy of Cornwall, the massive $1 billion historic estate that generates tens of millions of pounds in annual income for the heir to the throne. For 19 years, Annabel oversaw the lavish refurbishment, interior decoration, and aesthetic modernization of historic cottages, luxury holiday rentals, and commercial properties across Cornwall, Devon, and the Isles of Scilly. She was paid handsomely directly from the duchy's lucrative coffers, receiving hundreds of thousands of pounds in official fees over her long tenure, including annual payments frequently exceeding $25,000 for ongoing design services. Annabel was not simply an independent design contractor. She was Queen Camilla's primary eyes, ears, and personal representative inside the financial juggernaut of the royal estate. She was a constant presence in Charles and Camilla's inner circle, enjoying unfettered access to royal properties, financial influence, and prestige that extended far beyond standard commercial arrangements. Then came September 2022. Queen Elizabeth II passed away. King Charles ascended the throne of the United Kingdom, and control of the Duchy of Cornwall transferred instantly and completely to the new Prince of Wales, Prince William. William assumed control of the vast duchy estate with immediate, cold corporate precision. He did not wait for traditional transition periods, nor did he request advisory meetings with his father's former management team. When the Duchy of Cornwall prepared its official annual financial reports for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, sharp-eyed royal observers noticed a striking, shocking omission. Annabel Elliot's long-standing design contract had not been renewed. There was no public press release, no official statement of gratitude, and no ceremony honoring her 2 decades of continuous service to the estate. With a single stroke of his pen, Prince William struck Queen Camilla's sister completely off the royal payroll. To the external media and the general public, the decision was framed as routine corporate restructuring a modern manager, bringing in new design vendors and streamlining operational budgets. But inside the thick stone walls of Buckingham Palace and Clarence House, the decision detonated like a massive political bomb. Annabel Elliot was not just an interior decorator. She was Camilla's absolute closest confidante, her personal rock, and the woman who had stood fiercely by her side through the darkest, most brutal years of public backlash in the 1990s. Annabel had even served as an official coronation attendant inside Westminster Abbey, standing mere inches behind Camilla as she was crowned queen. By ruthlessly terminating Annabel's contract, William systematically severed Queen Camilla's last remaining operational and financial link to the royal estate. A palace insider close to the situation made a statement that echoed through the corridors of royal journalism. It was never about the money. It was entirely about the message, and her family is no longer welcome or permitted to profit in the new kingdom. Official palace spokespeople attempted to diffuse the story, claiming that the duchy's internal staff had gained sufficient expertise under Annabel's long mentorship to handle design tasks independently. But nobody within royal circles believed the corporate cover story. William was sending an unmistakable, uncompromising signal to King Charles and Queen Camilla. The Duchy of Cornwall belongs exclusively to the heir to the throne. It is not a private family piggy bank. It is not a mechanism for nepotism, and it will never be utilized to enrich, empower, or elevate the Parker Bowles dynasty. First, her son was turned away at the gates of Windsor Castle. Then, her sister was stripped of her lucrative contract and removed from the royal payroll. Queen Camilla was forced to watch as her family's influence was methodically, systematically dismantled, piece by piece, by the very man who will one day sit on the throne of England. To view Prince William's actions as petty personal revenge or simple family spite is to completely misunderstand the vast scope of what the Prince of Wales is actively building. This is not simple emotional reactivity. This is grand strategic planning for the survival of the British monarchy. Since assuming the title of Prince of Wales, William has recognized that the institution faces a profound existential crisis in the 21st century. The era of Queen Elizabeth II, a 70-year reign built on quiet deference, imperial tradition, and unquestioned public respect, is officially over. William looks at the modern world and sees a public that is increasingly skeptical of royal privilege, taxpayer funding, and palace opacity. He sees a younger generation that questions the very relevance of a hereditary monarchy. He looks at his own family and sees the catastrophic fallout of recent years. His brother, Prince Harry, walking away from public duty to launch a high-powered media war against the institution. His uncle, Prince Andrew, stripped of his military titles and public roles following devastating global scandals. And his stepmother, Queen Camilla, whose non-royal relatives were quietly attempting to build a secondary court inside the palace walls. In Prince William's mind, the long-term survival of the House of Windsor depends on one brutal, non-negotiable principle: absolute, uncompromising streamlining. King Charles's long era as Prince of Wales was frequently defined by compromise and sentimental management. Charles spent decades attempting to balance his public duty to the crown with his personal, desperate desire to elevate Camilla, make her accepted by the establishment, and ensure her family felt integrated. In doing so, Charles created dangerous gray areas, allowing non-royal family members into private palace quarters, granting lucrative favors, and blurring the strict boundaries of constitutional protocol. Prince William is actively eliminating every single gray area that his father created. Under William's direct leadership, the operational strategy of the Prince of Wales's office has become notoriously efficient, disciplined, and corporate. Longtime appointees, advisors, and contractors from the Charles and Camilla era are being quietly transitioned out of service. Contracts are subjected to rigorous financial audits, unnecessary expenditures are brutally slashed, and any hint of family favoritism is eliminated instantly. William's vision for the future of the British monarchy is crystal clear. The institution must consist strictly of the core bloodline, the sovereign, the heir, and their direct working descendants, specifically Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. There will be absolutely zero extended entourage. That means no step siblings occupying palace apartments, no external family contracts funded by royal estates, and no elevated public roles for non-working relatives. Royalty is an onerous constitutional duty, not an hereditary pass to personal prestige or financial gain. Camilla attempted to transform the monarchy into a modern blended family, but William is forcefully reminding the world that the crown is a cold constitutional institution governed by iron laws of bloodline and duty. In this high-stakes power struggle, Prince William does not stand alone. Standing resolutely beside him is Catherine, Princess of Wales, a woman whose immense public popularity, flawless devotion to duty, and incredible dignity have made her the single most valuable asset the modern royal family possesses. While Camilla fought for decades to rehabilitate her public image through high-priced PR advisors and carefully placed press leaks, Catherine earned the deep affection of the British public organically through grace, humility, and flawless service. Insiders reveal that Catherine fully and unreservedly supports William's strict boundary setting regarding the Parker Bowles family. As a mother, Catherine is intensely protective of her children's future and the integrity of the line of succession. She understands that every attempt by Queen Camilla to elevate Tom Parker Bowles or Laura Lopes distracts from the core mission of the royal family and dilutes the public focus on Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Together, William and Catherine have constructed an impenetrable fortress around their young family and the future of the crown. They are not merely waiting in the wings to inherit the throne, they are actively dictating the terms under which the monarchy operates today, effectively establishing a co-regency that limits King Charles's ability to make sweeping family concessions. Look closely at Queen Camilla during her public appearances in recent months. The defiant, triumphant confidence she displayed during the grand coronation preparations has subtly, noticeably vanished. She still wears the historic crown jewels, she still rides in the Golden State coaches, and she still stands beside King Charles at the state opening of Parliament. But behind the formal grandeur and sparkling tiaras, her isolation inside the palace walls is nearly absolute. She is keenly aware that her husband's reign is a brief, transitional chapter in the vast history of the British monarchy. King Charles is in his late 70s, navigating complex health battles and facing the unavoidable physical limitations of age, while actual operational power and strategic control over the estate have already shifted permanently to Kensington Palace. Camilla is fully aware that every single time she looks at Prince William, she is looking at the man who holds her ultimate fate and historical legacy in his hands. When King Charles eventually passes away and Prince William ascends the throne as King William V, Camilla's official role as Queen Consort will instantly vanish. She will become the Queen Dowager, a title with zero constitutional power, zero operational authority, and zero influence over palace administration. Under King William V, there will be no palace accommodations for her children, no lucrative duchy contracts for her sister, no royal patronages for her friends, and no place whatsoever for her non-royal family within the inner circle of the kingdom. The humiliating incident at the gates of Windsor Castle was not an isolated event. It was a clear, terrifying preview of her future reality. For decades, media commentators and royal biographers debated whether Camilla Parker Bowles had ultimately won the Great Royal War of the late 20th century. She had, after all, survived the horrific scandals of the 1990s, weathered the unprecedented global rage following the tragic death of Princess Diana, and achieved what once seemed completely impossible, marrying Charles, taking the title of queen, and having a historic crown placed upon her head inside Westminster Abbey. But history has a profound, undeniable way of balancing the scales of justice. Camilla may have won the title of queen for a brief chapter, but Princess Diana won the ultimate future of the British monarchy. Through her eldest son, Diana's values, her emotional strength, her direct bloodline, and her cherished memory fully govern the decisions of the future king. Prince William's absolute refusal to allow Queen Camilla's family to penetrate the royal circle is the ultimate, undeniable proof that Princess Diana's impact was never erased by palace spin doctors, coronation oil, or official press releases. Every single time Prince William orders a palace gate closed, terminates a lucrative family contract, or strikes a name off an official guest list, he is executing a sacred promise made decades ago to a mother who was betrayed, sidelined, and emotionally devastated by the very palace establishment he now commands. He is ensuring, with cold and brilliant precision, that the future House of Windsor will be built permanently on the legacy of Princess Diana, not the ambitions of Queen Camilla. The British monarchy runs strictly on bloodlines, not secondary branches. Queen Camilla may sit beside the king today, but she now understands the absolute terrifying limits of her authority. She managed to marry the sovereign, but she will never, ever in his son's kingdom. Prince William has demonstrated to the entire world that he possesses the exact, uncompromising quality required of a historic monarch, an unyielding, razor-sharp, and calculated resolve to protect the legitimacy of the crown at all costs. As the quiet power shift inside Buckingham Palace accelerates with each passing day, one ultimate question remains for royal observers across the globe when Prince William finally ascends the throne as king. Will Queen Camilla be completely banished to the margins of royal life, or will King Charles find the strength to make one final desperate stand for his wife? Share your deep thoughts in the comment section below on whether you support Prince William's uncompromising stance to protect his mother's legacy, or if you believe Queen Camilla's family deserves a formal place in royal history. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay fully updated as this historic, high-stakes royal power struggle continues to unfold behind palace doors.